Hello, welcome back to the Matt Phifer Experience. My name is Matthew Phifer, and I am excited to introduce you to my next guest. His name is Austin Armstrong from Socialty Pro. One of the things that a lot of people ask me about is personal brand, building your personal brand, creating content online. And for a lot of people who followed me for a while, and if you have known my journey, and if you know about building a personal brand on TikTok or other social media platforms, you know how difficult it can be. Number one, because of the mental blocks that sometimes we have for ourselves, but it's also very difficult at times, and it can be very stressful for those who are trying to become a coach or those who are trying to build an online business. So I decided to bring in a professional, someone who I admire the way that he's built his platform and some of the structures that he puts in, and someone that I've actually taken and implemented a lot of his systems into my systems. And so looking forward to having this conversation with you, and let's get this going. All right. Welcome to the show, Austin Armstrong. Thank you very much. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and where you're at and where you're located.
Yeah, Matt, thank you so much for having me on. Good to see everybody and chat with you live here today. My name's Austin Armstrong. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Socialty Pro. We're an organic focused marketing agency that focuses really heavily on short form vertical video, as well as search engine optimization. I can deep dive as much as you want, but I've been doing digital marketing for about 17 years. So I've seen all of these platforms come and go, and we really are quick to adapt to what's currently working in the space. And short form vertical video has just been explosive over the last couple years, about 3 years now, really starting with TikTok. And now we have all these other platforms: Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Pinterest Idea Pins. Everybody's copying suit because of the massive success of TikTok. And we're just rolling with the punches and just having a blast along the way.
Well, tell us a little bit. Why do you think that the short form video has exploded so much, and what's the push, and where did all this start, and where did all this start, and like how did we get here with short form video?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of different factors. One, for TikTok in particular, it was the perfect storm of here's this new exciting platform in the world of stagnant other social media platforms that have been around for well over a decade at this point. And then the pandemic hit, and everybody was stuck at home and bored. And this was that perfect storm of adoption for the platform. Everybody was experimenting with this new thing. Because of how it's engineered, it became so addicting. Just endless dopamine hit of videos based on what you're interested in. And because of that rapid success, all of the other platforms followed suit. And that's really where the mass adoption of short form vertical video came from. But I think in general, from a more like psychological and habit perspective on things, as these platforms and as all technology advances, it makes things more simplistic for us. And so this maybe is controversial, but literally up until this point, content has been either square or horizontal. Mm-hmm. And so literally on our phones, it's an extra step to flip it sideways, right? We're naturally on our phone vertically. But up until these vertical platforms came out in short form vertical videos, it was literally an extra step to twist the phone to watch a video in that format, watch a YouTube video on your phone, because it adapts to the screen size and whatnot. So it's literally just removing that step. So there's no flick of the wrist. And I think it's a little bit partially of that too. It's just more convenient, and it takes up the entire screen automatically rather than that additional step.
And this, not only that, but it seems that the actual algorithms have actually changed, where
Mm.
where because I know, so the downside, I noticed that one of the things I think that a lot of people talk about is that we don't see as much of our friends and our family. I know there used to
Mm.
be kind of a joke,
Yeah.
when people first hopped on TikTok. When I know this happened with me on TikTok, it was actually strange to see someone that you knew, and it felt
Mm.
like you're
Yeah.
meeting new people all the time. And that's actually something that's actually become very lucrative for a lot of people, and that's where a lot of people had a lot of their businesses take off. I know that's something that happened for me as well. Can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit about that when it comes to the algorithms, and maybe some pros and some cons to that as well?
Yeah, in TikTok particular, I think that was one of the mass appealing things is that you weren't you could be your true self, you could be someone else and not have to worry about the back potential backlash or negative opinions of your family saying, "Oh, why is so and so creating these silly videos all the
Who do
time?"
you think you are?
Yeah, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Um, and it created anonymity. It created and viral anonymity. I think partially everybody has a little bit of maybe slight narcissistic personality traits that they want that following. They want that recognition. They want that you know they want people to like them, and
And
so
just to be clear, that is true. Everyone does have, but there is such a thing as a healthy level of narcissism where,
Sure.
where anyone we're on, like for example, you and I, right this second, or if we're on stage, we actually need a little bit. It doesn't make you abusive or toxic or anything like that, but we all need a little bit of it to be able to execute and be able to get through life.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think that's just a natural evolution. These algorithms tend to, I think at least, update based on user engagement. And so I
Mhm.
think people are just progressing in that way. They want less of what there has been for the past 15, 20 years of just seeing your friends or your family members or your cousins uh, baby photos and stuff like 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, 8 months
Yeah.
pregnant. Like, what else is there? Like, yes, it's beautiful. Congratulations, you're married, you're on your honeymoon, you have a baby, whatever, right? But it's the same thing over and over again. We want something fresh. We want something exciting. And I think the algorithms are recognizing that, and they're serving more of what people are actually interested in rather than just seeing the highlights from their families.
I was talking to Sierra Nicole last week, and I'm not sure if you follow her, if you're familiar with her, but she's
Mhm.
another content creator. She's another person that teaches people about personal brand. And her and I were talking about how TikTok, Instagram, all these platforms, YouTube Shorts, has really taken the place of people watching TV. People are on their
Mhm.
phones more
Yeah.
often than what people are watching TV. I mean, really, and if I think about personally, the only time I ever watch TV is if there's like an actual game on, and even that is sometimes debatable because a lot of times people are actually streaming, live events on TikTok, on Instagram, those sorts of
Yeah.
things, and so people are spending a lot more time on their phone. Is there, for people who are building a personal brand and building a business, uh, are there benefits to that? Is there a way that people can really take advantage of that and capitalize on that?
Well, absolutely, you're 100% right. And I look at my usage behavior too. We haven't had cable in years. I mean, we have some of the only TV that we have is like some of the streaming softwares and platforms where we watch stuff on demand. But the vast majority, like, I never watch live TV, and the only time I do is maybe if a UFC fight's on. I'm a big
Yeah.
UFC fan and MMA fan. Um, but as far as capitalizing, create content.
Yeah.
There's all of these, there's a mass swarm of people on these platforms around the clock, 24/7. I digress here for a little bit, but I also just don't think that there's a perfect time to post. I think
No.
that's
Neither.
something that, it's a common fallacy. Like, you have to post at a certain time. No, everybody is on these apps on their phone 24/7 around
Mhm.
the clock worldwide. So you don't need to worry about that. But just by simply creating content consistently, paying attention to what your audience is interested in, having a great game plan and strategy in place of what you want to get out of what you want to get out of your content and what you want to get out of your social media. If it's just building your brand, if it's actually growing your business, if it's generating leads, or if you just want more followers for the sake of having more followers, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Going in with an effective content strategy is how you're going to be able to leverage and take advantage of it.
I think it's, you brought up a good point about building your following just to build a following. I think for a lot of people, it can be very fun. I know when I very first got into it, it was, I remember when Instagram very first launched, and my kids were the first people that brought to my attention, like, we really should build a following, this and that, and we could be famous. And at the time I was like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, you can't get famous on social media, and what is that going to do for you? Ooh, you have followers. That was kind of my approach at the time. And now, now here I am approaching 1 million followers, and my kids are like, Dad, help me out and this and that. And but it's funny how things change. But tell us a little bit about the benefits of having, or let me ask this question. Are there benefits to having a following? Are there benefits to building a brand? And also kind of a two-part question, because I don't want to, one of the things I don't do here, and whether we're talking about manipulation or branding, I don't allow for my followers to just use terms without actually knowing the definition. I think that sometimes we just toss around stuff. We say things like, what is a brand? Like, what is it? And, I think that's a term that people toss around. I'm going to build a personal brand, but people don't even really actually know what it is unless you're actually in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So great two-part question there. So as far as having a follower count, we can't deny social proof. I think there's real important value to having social proof, and it does elevate you a little bit. If there's a person that's considering buying a product or service from somebody that they see online, and this isn't going to be 100% of the time, but I would imagine a fair amount of the time, if they look at two different people talking about the same subject matter, and person A, and they, the messaging's the same, they resonate with both people, right? Everything else is equal, but there's a difference in the follower count. You see person A has 100 followers talking about the same thing. And let's talk about marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Are you going to hire the marketer for your business that has 100 followers, or are you going to hire the marketing person that has 100,000 followers or 1 million followers? I would bet most of the time they're going to hire the person with the higher follower count.
Absolutely.
And that's the longer term benefit there is that social proof. It does matter. I think it matters. And it's not the most important thing. Like, you can still, everybody starts at zero. So you got to build your way up. But there's a lot of other ways that you can leverage that follower count as well. Like, if you want to work with brands, what I found is brands primarily care about that follower count, even if they shouldn't, even if they should look at, how many views on average you're getting, or your average engagement rate on your video, which is a much better indicator. Brands really just focus on follower count. So you can take advantage of that right now, because brands are so far behind. They just want to reach your followers.
Right.
It also gives you, like, as far as I found this to be true on TikTok and really all platforms, is like, as the saying goes, all boats rise with the tide, right? So if your baseline, like on TikTok, for instance, the baseline for most people is like 200 views, that initial bubble of 200, 250 views. If you can't break that, right? The more followers that you have based on the other videos that are exploding and whatnot, it's going to raise that bottom line of, maybe it's not 250 anymore, maybe it's 2,000, and maybe 2,000 views is terrible for you, but that's still almost a 10x bottom line view based on that. So those are a couple of the benefits of having a large follower count. It just gives you so much flexibility, and leverage overall. And as far as branding, I think branding is what you stand for. Branding is what, when somebody looks at your page, looks at you, thinks of you, what do you want them to think? A brand is a personal brand is so much more than just having a following. It's all of the things that you believe in that other people will also theoretically believe, because it's what you stand for. There's so many great brands out there, and brand mission, and that's so important, is when you're building your own brand, building your own personal brand, what is it that you stand for? Yeah. And for instance, one of my personal branding things is I want to lead by example, and I want everybody to know that I work hard. I don't just have a large following. I chronicle my journey everywhere. So people have been following me for years, and they know what it takes. They see that every single day I'm putting out content, and that's a big part of my personal brand. Is there's no hacks, there's no shortcuts. Good, hard, solid work will pay off in the long run.
I think that's something that really gravitated you and I together, and also other brand creators that I've talked to, because there's this perception that if you're not growing fast on social media, that there's something wrong with you. And and me as someone that's not only a content creator but also a therapist, there's this validation that people are looking for, that they don't just want to grow, but they also want to grow fast. They want to get to 1 million followers overnight. And one of the things that you said, and that I also stand for, is I don't want to say a grind, but also understanding that it's going to take time. You and I have talked a lot about organic and it growing slowly over time, because growing quickly, as great as it seems on the surface, can also be problematic. Can you talk about the benefits of growing slowly, and also what it's like if someone grows too quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good point. And I hear that problem I hear so frequently with clients. Like because TikTok is like it ebbs and flows of constant like viewership. Sometimes the algorithms will push your content out immediately. Otherwise, and then it'll go into like a slower growth. And I constantly get text messages like, why, we were getting 20,000 views on a video immediately, and now we're only getting 5,000 views. What's wrong? What's happening? And it's like, you're still reaching 5,000 people. Right. You're still, go out, look at the macro, don't look at the micro. You're still growing. So you're 100% right there. And I think growing slowly versus growing much quicker lets you build the systems to handle the growth. So if you go viral overnight for your product or services, and from nothing, you probably don't have the systems in place to handle that. And then you're going to have so many that can have a negative appeal. So like if you get too many phone calls or too many sales, and you can't take all those phone calls, and you can't call everybody back because you don't have enough people to answer the calls, then you're going to start getting negative reviews online. Or if you get too many purchases or sales of your product or whatever it is that you're selling, and you don't have enough inventory and you get backlogged, well, guess what? People are going to complain that it took too long to get the product because you didn't have the systems in place to handle this growth. Even sometimes like server strength, like if I've gotten emails from websites that I've promoted before where they say, take it down, you shut our website down, which that's like a good problem to have, because it sent too much website traffic in too fast of a period of time. This happens with viral content. If your website, like if you're on like a free website hosting plan and they only let you have like 1,000 website visitors a month or something like that, and you have a video go viral, it could break it can literally break your website. So, having consistent, sustainable growth over time is going to let you reinvest into the systems so that you can effectively scale over time. Like I've been doing this for 17 years. And that's a long journey. Not everybody needs to be that long, right? Even like as far as like my TikTok and short form vertical journey, it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
And really, you know, I had a lot of success on TikTok fairly early on, but it's been sustainable growth. I'm growing my team. We get to a certain threshold, and then I bring on a new account manager, or I bring on a salesperson, or I bring on, you know, a new video editor for us, or whatever. You reach a certain milestone, and then you bring in the systems to help you get to the next milestone.
Yeah.
It's just a much more sustainable path, I think. You know, virality isn't everything. Everybody wants viral, but it's really not the end all be all.
Not only is it not the end all be all, but it can, and I think you hit the nail on the head, that it can also be very problematic. You can go viral for the wrong reasons. I don't know if you've experienced it, but I think that I've definitely 100% experienced it, and people who follow me for a while have seen that happen, especially if you're talking about, and sometimes even when you have a good product, when you have a good service, it makes you even more susceptible to having these type of attacks, and having people try to cancel you or try to ban you, or having people mass report you and that sort of thing. So as great as social media is, it also can be very problematic on the other side. And I think that one of the things that's really helped me personally is growing slowly. I've been able to understand like how to handle trolls, how to handle some of the negative side of having a platform. And so when it happens, it's just, you know, just like you said, you kind of gather your team like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Here's how we're going to handle it. Can you talk a little bit about that? When I remember one time someone, this happened to me too, but I remember you particular, someone copied your video word for word. That's happened to me a couple of times, and I know you've called them out. I have a certain way that I call people out as well. Can you talk about, you know, the negative side of growing a platform or going viral?
Yeah. So trolls are natural, and it's something that we all have to prepare for. It's just the nature of the internet. Since the internet was born, there's trolls in every facet of it. And so, you know, this might be easier said than done. And this is my developed, you know, ideas on and thoughts on this over time. But trolls can impact your mental health. And it's important to recognize how they impact you personally, and you know, focus on what works best for you, because there's no one size fits all cure for how you can handle trolls. So if you need to just not ever look at your comments, just don't ever look at your comments. It's you know, it's okay. It's not worth stressing out. But what I personally do is I've come to a point where I've reframed my mindset, because I know that engagement, any type of engagement, fuels that video. So for every troll that I get, guess what? My video is still going to help 10 more people. So I love to ask them questions when I get like hate comments. And in fact, I even bait them now. So much so I will mispronounce words on purpose. I will put funny things in the backgrounds of my video, or weird like folders in my browser under a URL that I'm sharing. I will mess my hair up. I will do all kinds of silly things because I want them to comment. I want them those negative comments, and then I'll either just, you know, follow up with the question like, "Oh, why do you think that?" or "What makes you think that?" or "Could you tell me?"
And it's
more?
funny how quickly they delete their comment whenever they do that. Whenever you do that.
They delete their comment, or they, you know, they need to you know, reassert their ego, and they'll respond. But meanwhile, my video's playing in the background. I brought them back because of the notification. As far, so I always have the mentality of hug your haters, because they're really just helping your videos grow. And that's just me. Again, that's not going to work for everybody. Now, to address the people that, you know, like the video that word for word copied me. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, as the saying goes. And so, yeah, it's you know, it rides that line of like copyright, you know, so you got to be worried about that. But I tried to take the high road with how I did that. So I stitched his video, and I was, I literally
I
showed
thought
like,
you handled it great, but go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I said, side by side, like you copied it word for word. Here's a better way to do this.
Right.
Focus. When you're just getting started, look at similar creators to yourself that are where you want to be, and model them. Don't straight up copy them word for word. So have this format of video that has worked really well, the sort of conversation style and showing useful websites in between. You can model that same style. I didn't invent the conversation style.
Right.
That's been around for a while. I innovated that space. I took that conversation style and incorporated my own unique strategy of showing the useful websites in between. Model that and do your own unique perspective. And I called him out on that, and he responded. He said, you're right. I didn't, think about it. I didn't mean any harm. And he did it. He innovated a little bit.
Yeah.
So he took that same approach, and rather than him like saying word for word, he used like clips of like GIFs, animated GIFs, or like SpongeBob reacting to stuff. And like that's a unique spin. But lean into your authenticity. Don't just straight up copy.
And you hit the nail on the head, and that's the reason why I asked that question, because I want to circle it back to what you talked about in terms of what your brand is and how it signifies who you are. And if you're going to build a brand, if you're going to build it based on, we have so many people that are building their brands of controversy, which is, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, off of being negative towards people, if that's what you want to do. But if you're someone who wants to build your brand on integrity and that sort of thing, it's 100% okay to take ideas, but it's also important to make them your own, to build it off of who you are, so people can identify your voice. One of the things I do, I mean, I a lot of times I do a lot of quotes, and I'll give the person credit for it. This is something that came from so and so. Make sure you guys give them a follow and that sort of thing. Yeah. But people will still give you and that other person credit. It's not like you didn't. When I'm working with people and coaching them on branding, people will say, "Well, I feel like if I give them the credit, that I'm not that people are going to look at me differently." And it's not like you didn't do the work. It's not like you didn't read their book. It's not like you didn't watch those videos or that sort of thing. So you're still helping people out. And oftentimes, even when you're providing the resource of where you got it from, people, enjoy the fact that number one, that you're doing it with integrity. Number two, that you that you are doing the work, that they know that you're actually putting in the work. And also the fact that when they see the resources that you're pulling from, they realize that they can trust you, they can trust your word, and that they don't have to put in the work. And that's kind of the benefit of whatever service or product that you're providing, is that you're making their life easier. And when they know that you're getting it from credible sources, credible places, it makes them feel more comfortable understanding that they can just trust that you're just not making things up on the fly.
Right. Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit more about people who might be considering becoming a content creator, might be considering building their own personal brand that's just in the beginning. Maybe they have 0 followers, maybe they have 100 followers, or whatever the case is. It doesn't matter where they're at, but is looking at making this a career. One source that I saw, content creation is one of the fastest growing industries in the country, maybe in the world, I would suspect. So I know that there's a lot of people who are considering it, especially maybe young people, young kids. Maybe, let me take that back, because I think there's people that are, older, who are like, I've always wanted to do this. Yeah. And now this is my opportunity. That we didn't have this technology when I was growing up, and now this is available. And now I'm in my 40s, 50s, or even 60s. And now I can finally do the things that I've always wanted to do, and leave and cut the cord from the corporate job, or whatever the case is. Yep. What are the beginning stages? Where would someone start?
I think it's it's most important to hope for the best, but plan for the long game, because this is above all else, consistency and trying to improve 1% each day is what's going to work for you overall in the long run. It's going to be an upward graph of growth over time. So don't think that you're going to just put a month of effort in and you're going to, instantly make as much money as you were in your corporate 9 to 5. No. In all reality, it's going to take you years. Hopefully it takes you less time than that. But if you're just getting started, be prepared to be consistent. Show up as much as you can, as frequently as you can. That number is going to vary from person to person, but focus on commitment and consistency and whatever that looks like for you. Next, I would really have a clear understanding of what you want to get out of it, and outline your goals, whether they're financial goals, whether it's do you want to sell coaching? Do you want to get clients? Do you want to sell products? Do you want to do brand deals? Do you want to, whatever. Clearly define your goals of what you want to get out of the platform. Then really clearly identify exactly who you want to reach. Outline your buyer persona, target demographic, whatever it is that you want to call it. And the more granular that you can get with this, the better you're going to be. So what, you can even put together like a target identity. Like, this is Jane. She's 26 years old. She lives in North Dakota. Her hobbies are knitting, and she's also a badass martial artist. She listens to the Joe Rogan and Matt Phifer Experience. She, on weekends likes to do so and so, and she follows these creators online. And the more specific that you can focus on who your ideal target person is, your target client, whatever, you have a better lens that you can filter all of your content decisions through. So you can say, does this video resonate with who I'm trying to reach? And if it doesn't, probably don't do that video, because that's going to fast track you to more of who you want to reach. Even if that video in the beginning doesn't get the most amount of traction, consistently creating content around your goals and who you want to reach is the method of madness.
I agree 100%. And one of the things that I want to add on top of that is that it is completely 100% okay to change your mind. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people, I've coached people, I've done it myself, where you start doing something, you start to either get burnt out, you start to realize that maybe you want to go into a different direction. And it is 100% okay for you to pivot, for you to change directions, for you to add on a new layer onto what you're already doing, because you see something that you enjoy a little bit more, or that you start to notice that there's a certain client or product that you just don't enjoy doing it anymore. That's one of the things that I've enjoyed so much about being a content creator, is that you can change your job without changing your job. So it keeps everything interesting. You can change your content. You can change it for a season, for a bit. If you decide that you want to work with a certain demographic for a period of time, or you just know that there's a certain season that you can benefit from, or with the holiday season coming up, or if you want to focus in on brand deals or a certain type of clientele for a little bit, you can do that. And when I worked in more of a corporate setting, you can't do that without leaving the job completely. And it wasn't something that was available. But now you can completely change your mind. You can completely start new. And oftentimes even the people that you're already working with will still follow you with that new platform and with the new content that you're creating. So so much flexibility there.
So true. I mean, I'm in the process of that right now, exactly as you speak. Like, the first, phase of my online content creation was really focused on client acquisition. I wanted to get more clients for my agency. And really, when we started, we were really only focused on SEO clients. So a lot of my content and how I started to gain a large traction online was showcasing unique and modern search engine optimization strategies that nobody was talking about, innovations in the space. And then after we proved that concept of TikTok growth and client acquisition, I pivoted my content strategy around short form vertical video content strategy, TikTok coaching, and getting clients in for that. And now I'm pivoting into more of the affiliate marketing space. So I'm creating content around useful websites for X, Y, and Z. And that's another strategy that I'm pivoting into for a different objective, to build up passive income streams. So it's totally okay to pivot and adjust. And this really helps prevent burnout, I've found as well, which is another really important thing to focus on, because, creator burnout is real. And the more that you're creating content on the same thing every day, it gets tough sometimes, mentally, even physically. Emotionally, etc. So, being able to pivot is a really important focus.
Absolutely. Austin, this has been great. And just like always, I feel like I could talk to you forever. But we'll definitely have to have you back on again. But, I love talking about branding and marketing. And I think that the internet these days it's just very interesting. And there's so many different things to talk about. And so tell everyone where they can find you at, and tell people if they want to know more information about yourself and what you do and your team, where's the best place to find you at?
Yeah, I would just shoot me a message on Instagram at SocialtyPro if you want to connect or learn more about what we do. But you can find me anywhere online at SocialtyPro. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, Austin Armstrong on there too.
Awesome. Austin, thank you very much. I'm going to close this out real quick. So thank you guys, everyone who has joined, everyone who's listening or watching on the playback. This is the Matt Phifer Experience. Don't forget to make sure you guys follow Austin. Make sure you guys like and share the video out. If you're watching this on video, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're notified each and every time we upload a new video. Also, make sure that you guys are following on all the major podcast platforms, on Apple Podcast, and also on Spotify. With all that being said, thank you guys very much, and we will talk to you soon.